Right, Blast Process viewers, we're at Play Expo Manchester, and this is Kev. Now Kev is single-handedly converting Melkhior's Mansion from his PC original onto the Spectrum Next.
Yep.
And you've got the latest version here. This is the Play Expo preview version.
Yep.
And you're going to show us, well, before we started, you were telling me in painstaking detail what you went through to get to this stage.
What did I go through to get to this stage?
I'm going to move the microphone underneath.
Initially, I contacted the graphic artist back in December because I was interested in using his pixel art to do demos for the Next, because my role at that point was testing the Next core to make sure that it was stable and it didn't have any bugs. So I needed some intellectual property that I could use and we'd distribute. So I contacted Craig Stevenson and said, we've seen this Melkhior's Mansion. It wasn't called that back then, by the way, it was just called Attic Attack. I saw that and I decided, can I use your pixel art, please, because it's fantastic. And I got talking to him on Twitter, and he was really friendly, and I thought, this is cool. And I think that same week, Simon Butler, on his podcast, sorry to name drop, he had seen this as well on Twitter, and he'd put out a message to the community. He said, Richard Jordan, I love your game, I think you should put it on the Spectrum Next. And at that point, I heard that podcast, and I thought, he's put out a contract, really, hasn't he, for someone to do this, and I'm thinking about it. But I've got my own game in progress, and I don't really want to... I ain't got time for this. So I contacted Craig, and I said, I'm 100% committed to doing your game on the Spectrum Next. Can I have access to the assets, please? And I'll make a start, and I'll do an evaluation demo. So it just sort of started from there, escalated, and what I had to do first is I had to put my own game design to sleep, finish writing my own story, and getting that to a stage where I could just forget about it and then start focusing just on the conversion, because I knew it was going to be a mammoth task. So from December, we put out a teaser on Facebook, the Trapdoor Fallen Effect, look what's coming to the Spectrum Next, and everyone on Facebook just went, that's mental. And we even announced it had to be free as well, because we can't monetize on this, because it's got the blessing of Rare as long as we do not charge for this product. And we were happy with that. It's a labour of love. So, spinning on from December, I've not really got anything to show, just the Trapdoor demo. I put my own game design to sleep, and on the 27th of February, a little bit later than I wanted to start, I began the mammoth job of converting this game to the Next. You've got to realise that this game is a PC title. It's written in C# for monogame, and it uses XML for the game data. It's modern high-level development, and it's got to come to the Spectrum Next with its 14 megahertz 8-bit Z80. So the first thing to do is really you're gonna have to start writing some tools and get each room in the game. I want to see the rooms displayed on the Spectrum Next, and I want to make sure they fit in memory. So once I had the rooms, it's a matter of, well, there's still no game there, is there? I'm gonna have to write some more tools now. It didn't take long to get the rooms, by the way. It didn't take long to get the rooms at all, displaying on the Next. The next thing to do was, how am I going to do this? I'm not going straight to Z80. I'm going to write a Spectrum emulator on PC, and I'm going to program it in x86, my favourite language at the moment. And I'm going to go through like a staging conversion. I'm going to convert it to a special version of the game, which is written in Intel x86. It can talk to the XML data. It can do a lot of processing in the background to get the game up and running, and then I'll port that. Now I've got to translate their game into my version of the game in my comfort zone, and then convert that to the Z80. And I know that sounds a little bit strange, but it's working so far, because 12 weeks from that start date in February, I'm now at the Expo with a playable demo on the Next of the game.
Yes, you were showing before on the screen, you could actually manipulate things. Yes,
now the staging emulator, it's really helped so much, because I'm a semi-language programmer. I'll be honest, I don't do high-level language. It just doesn't interest me, and if I'm not interested, I've got no motivation. But if I'm programming assembler, I'm loving it. I'll spend hours programming assembler.
In that natural habitat.
It's just what I do. It's my comfort zone, and my favourite language. I started with Z80 back in 1985, 1986. I've done 68,000. I've done MIPS, and I've done x86 for 25 years. I won't let go of it, and I'm very authentically retro. I can tell you that. Definitely, and I'm still an assembler programmer in 2019. So if I fire up the second version of the game, this is the staging version. I wrote a next emulator over the next 12 weeks, and I wired up the next hardware to an i5 at 2.6 gig, which is quite amusing. So it's the fastest Spectrum probably out there at the moment. So I can basically debug the game while it's running by looking at collision data.
Yeah.
It's not a simple question to say how have you converted it. It's such a mammoth task to fit a PC title into an 8-bit Spectrum and actually retain all the original detail. We're not compromising. There's no compromise. It will be pixel per pixel.
The retro aesthetic of the original on the PC hides the sophistication behind it. What are you trying to say here?
Yeah, it's running on an i5 with shaders and 3D technology. It's running with a full 3D isometric engine that the original developers he already had that when he started the project. He's been playing with isometric games and engines for some time, and he classes it as a light version of his engine, but it's still a lot for the next to do. As you can see, that's how the masking works. I'm drawing the tables in certain order to make the player walk behind them.
Yes.
And the background is just a static picture, but the tables are still on the background. It makes sense to keep them there.
Yeah.
So when I overlay the sprites, you don't notice that they're there, but they cover up the player.
Yes.
And that's how I'm doing this. Yeah, that's how we're doing the isometric engine. And you've got to remember that the Next is running at 60 frames per second, whereas their game's running at 30 frames per second. So it's even more work for the poor Next to do. And it's working. We've got results. So having this x86 version of the game to tamper with and what I call profiling, I've got so much power and to just be creative and to just try different long-winded algorithms, see if they work. I can use floating point mathematics for my calculations, which is you can't do on Z80. So once I've got something once I'm happy with something, and I can then simplify it and then just port it over to the Z80.
Yes.
And I'm just typing over my Intel code and replacing it with I'm just renaming all the opcodes, each instruction one by one. I just rename it from Intel format to Z80, and I don't even have to really check it works. I know it's going to work. And then it just runs on the Next. It's a fantastic way to do it.
Your heavy lifting developing's been done elsewhere.
Because it works. I proved it works. So I'm just as if I don't really do a typo because it wouldn't build. You get a build error. So it does actually work. Some of it I have to think about because I've actually put thought in when I wrote the Intel code. I knew that it's going to have to be ported to Z80, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. I can't use the floating point maths for the final algorithm. I can't use multiplies. I can't use anything that comes with the Intel processor, but I can use the Intel as a basic skeleton to profile the logic and get the game running. And it's a weird way of doing it, but it's giving results.
Oh, yeah.
It's giving quick results, and it's saving so much stress and hard work trying to debug the product. Because I can see the X and Y position on the screen and a little overlay. I can view the map and all this collision data, and anything that I want, I can just build into my emulator. It's like a dev kit. The next thing to do is to make it so I can move the doors around with a mouse on Windows desktop to position them correctly. And you can't do that on the Next. I hope that answers some of the questions of how I'm going about tackling the conversion.
Oh, no. And at the moment you're saying you started obviously behind the original team because obviously you came on and said you were converted.
Yeah,
and you're actually now catching them up. Yeah,
it's taken a while to catch them up because they don't work full time on it. So it's about the more assets that I code, the quicker it is to catch them up. It's just getting to that stage now. It's where it's starting to come together as a
building
game.
the scaffolding, the framework, so you can actually...
Yeah, that's right. All the foundations. And I actually set myself a deadline in February to have this demo that you've seen now and on the next ready for this show. And it was a really good deadline to work for because you couldn't move that deadline. It had to happen.
Yes.
And I made it. I hit the deadline.
Here, and it's on the screen.
Yeah. I hit the deadline, and so that's like this is like a dev kit. It's a special emulator, and when I get home, I'll just enhance it. It'll just evolve, and it'll serve its purpose to actually convert this game. So we can put that one to sleep, and if you want to have a look at the actual next version, So this is the result.
Some very familiar sound effects.
Yep. This is the same data that you were looking at, but just written in a different language, Z80.
I just noticed little additions. So obviously, we know the history of what this game is following on from, and the colour keys. I just spotted the gate there with 3 colours on it, so obviously you need all 3 colour keys to open it.
Yeah, that's the multi-key. I think that might have been an addition, and it's good for the demo because all the rooms are in. Obviously, in my game conversion, all the rooms are in, and we didn't really want to show that much in a Expo demo. So you block off the exits, so to stop people playing it. So because they'd end up getting to the final attic stage, and obviously the later rooms aren't ready yet. So I kept a smaller version of the map. You can have a quick look at the map if you really want because it's floating around. I use it all the time. I can't really live without it. This is the game map. I'll try not to give too much away, but I could study that game map and work out which exits to block off for this demo to stop you going like too far into the game. And that's what I did.
This will come in handy eventually one day.
with the multicolour key, that's going to solve me a lot of headaches because a player cannot go down that way because I don't want them going that way yet. It's So what you're looking at is a demo with about 80 rooms. There's no enemies yet. It's only 12 weeks in. And we've got objects, we've got the masking working, we've got some of these what we call the secret passages. They're known as secret passages, I believe, in the original Ultimate text on the inlay tape. And you see there's a little glitch there because it's work in progress. As I go around there, the sort fails, and I'll point that out. I don't mind. I'll fix that. It's just the sorting's wrong. Because I couldn't move the deadline for the show, so I can't. It's just not. There's a bug left in it. Who cares?
Yeah, bugs are made to be squashed, though.
Yeah, I know it's there. It's easy. So
I think it's hard to. You can see vision on the screen, but I can say because I've had a go with the controller, the feel is there.
Yeah.
Which is a very hard thing. You can't quite say to people looking at the screen. It feels right. The way the glide slows down to a halt isn't too much. It doesn't stop at a dime. It's just got that natural.
The great thing about the conversion is the pixel art's already done for me, so I don't have to redraw it. I don't have to prototype the game logic or work out if the mechanics are gonna be practical for the game because that's Richard's job. He's already doing that. Yeah. So Craig's doing the graphics, Richard's doing the game logic on it, and I just have to look what they've done. And it's my worry to bring the technical issues that the next sort of gives us to. I just have to solve the technical issues, basically. Because I have to worry about getting a PC title on an 8-bit machine and just bringing it to life. I don't care about the graphics done. I don't care about game logic done. I'm very happy with the game logic's fantastic. I just can copy it, and that's why the slide. I'm happy with the slide. I would refine it a little bit. But it just copies the original. Yeah. That's Richard's. Richard's come up with that. That's his contribution to the product. I'm not concerned. I can't go through that door. So so the multi-key was handy because obviously I had to limit the map for this demo. Just quick thinking, isn't it? Yeah. There's no enemies at this stage. But it would have been missed opportunity to show it if I'd have just thought, well, I ain't got any enemies, I'm not bringing a demo.
No, I came down here and looked for Melkhior's mansion, so I had to have a go.
Yep. So I'll get to the trapdoor effect. that everyone saw because I've
you got to see the trapdoor.
For me, it just brought back memories of playing Attic Attack back in the day. I just feel that I'm back in the day. I love that effect. So yeah, there's quite a few months to do.
Well, yes. There's no point asking you when you'll be ready, right? No. Obviously, you're training behind the other lot. So
yeah.
Maybe you need to work faster.
I don't like cutting corners. I hate cutting corners. And you have to for demos and shows because, like I say, you can't move the deadline.
Yeah.
There's things I am happy about with. I'll just recode them when I get home in a different method. Right. You get a result, but the same result, but the way it's actually implemented is I'm not always happy with. I like to implement things properly, and some things, I'll be honest, in this demo, some things just aren't implemented properly. Yeah. But they will be sorted. But it takes time to develop.
Yeah. Now you do retain a blog, don't you?
I retain a blog, and on Facebook, and I write about what my achievements were that week. And I do that for a reason, because when I was a teenager back in the 80s, I used to read Crash magazine. I read all the Sinclair magazines. I used to read Crash and Checo's log, Raphael Checo. He was a big influence on me when I was younger, with Exelon, Cybernoid,
yeah.
Andrew Hewson, just pretty much most of the games I absolutely loved. And to read the blog of how they made it, I was over the moon. I was fascinated.
Yeah.
And I think that it's a great thing for me now, all these years later, to share back to the next community what they used to share to me.
Yes.
And I now got that ability. I now do that.
This blog is where?
It's on Facebook on the official. It's actually on the official Spectrum Next Games. If you look for Spectrum Next Games through the Spectrum Next Facebook group, you'll find us.
You'll find us.
Spectrum Next Games, and it's also on Twitter, on 9-bit colour, and if you search for hashtag Melkhior's Mansion, you'll find Richard Jordan's website, and you'll find Craig, and you'll find mine, and you can follow us. Just follow progress. You'll be able to read every Sunday night. I post a blog without fail. I've got to write it up on the train going home. I've got to write up my blog on tonight, so I can. It's got to be done before midnight.
Yes.
Last week.
Oh, got a challenge. We're recording Sunday, and you got to get a blog out.
I know. I'll do it on the train. And I think it's because I just want to give back to the community what I took from it in the 80s and 90s. I think that's fair. I think people are fascinated, the non-developers are fascinated to read what the developers are doing. Yes. And I remember when I couldn't program.
Magic on the set tape at the time.
I remember when I was.
Someone had to sweat over that.
I remember when I was just a game player, and I was fascinated with how I wanted to know how they were made.
Right.
I wanted to be a games programmer, and years later, I'm a games programmer. But I just basically, and I think it's important to show that work's getting done on a game, because anyone can say, "Oh, I'm doing this game," and then you don't really sort of hear back from them. I'll be honest, I'm not having to dig at anybody, but it happens a lot because it seems a great idea at the time, but then life gets in the way.
No, real life doesn't happen doing that.
Yeah, and I want to show progress, and I was a bit worried myself because I announced just before Christmas, look what's coming to the next, and then I sort of disappeared, for a few months. There's still nothing, and I didn't have anything to show for it. So I was getting a bit jittery, and I thought, it's getting up to February, I better just make a start on this.
Yeah.
To show. And then I got there.
Well, it's running.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Oh, I'm not worried. No, I'm happy. So the community's got confidence that the game's going to appear, and the developers have got confidence now that the conversion's going to happen, and everyone's happy and everyone loves it because the timing's perfect for it.
Yeah.
You couldn't wish for better timing. The Spectrum Next and a Spectrum reboot of a classic Ultimate game, and it's perfect timing. You couldn't wish for it to be any better. I think if I started the conversion in December, I would have been having to rewrite too many things because too many changes would have. I think it was a bit too early to start then, so I'm happy.
No.
So I know everyone asks when's it going to be out. I don't know.
Oh no,
I'm just following the lead.
Yes.
But I'll get my skates on as well as soon, because it's an incentive once they finish theirs to finish mine to get it out.
Right. We normally end our interviews, as it were, with a question.
Oh.
I quite think actually this may not be quite suitable for the question, but we'll run it anyway because it's what we do. All right then, dramatic music time gets dropped in.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah, indeed. And the question to end all questions is Super Nintendo or Mega Drive?
Mega Drive.
Oh, we got an answer. I was curious because we should go with Spectrum or Commodore here, but you're going Mega Drive. Yeah, you're a Mega Drive man.
Mega Drive programmer.
Oh, you go. You got an answer then.
Published on Mega Drive, published on Mega CD. So, Mega Drive.
Mega Drive. Oh, well,
SNES is lovely. Zelda, Link to a Past, can't fault it. Pop into a me, I could go on. But Mega Drive for me, Mega Drive.
Mega Drive. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And I am watching this, see what happens. I really am.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Okay.
Smile at the camera. Yay!
No, it's fine. It's fine.